The iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max are the latest and greatest Pro phones from Apple. And while this year we saw more of a small update, at least when compared to the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max, there are still some real reasons why you should buy the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. So here are the top 5 reasons why you should buy the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. Number 5, always on display. Look, this is a feature that honestly shouldn't be new in 2022, but for the iPhone, it is. Always on displays have been on Android phones for years, and they've been really useful for quickly getting information at a glance. Well, that flexibility is finally coming to the iPhone. The iPhone 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max will have an always on display. Apple said that it's finally possible to have an always on display thanks to the improvements in display technology that make the displays on the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max incredibly power efficient. It's capable of bringing down the refresh rate and dimming the brightness of the display, so you still have your time, widgets, and notifications available to view, which is actually pretty impressive. You're essentially getting your regular lock screen with all of its functionality that iOS 16 now offers in a way that's still visible but extremely power efficient. You can even still see your wallpaper on the always on display, which is something that you don't get with other phones and their always on displays. So while yes, always on display is not a new technology and it's been a long time coming for the iPhone, the always on display on the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max looks to be way better and more useful than others. Number 4, Dynamic Island. Okay, so when I saw this feature, the first thing that came to mind was Apple's just trying to fool us by trying to hide the selfie camera cutout. But the more I saw how thoughtfully implemented it was with the software, I was actually pretty impressed. The different alert animations and notifications you get with a dynamic island makes things feel fresh, and I just love the ability to push ongoing background applications to the dynamic island. For example, if you're listening to music and you swipe to go home, the music goes to the dynamic island and you have easy access to bring it right back up or even see what's playing right there on the dynamic island. It's kind of weird saying dynamic island so much. Really, it's just the cutout with some animations to it. And that works with other applications as well. The dynamic island gives you access to quick controls while you're doing something else. These options will also be available to developers so they can work with their applications and make them work and feel useful with dynamic island. I've never been a fan of the notch or even those punch hole cameras, but if you're going to have one, at least you can make it useful and interesting. And Apple kind of did that with the dynamic island. Number 3, the Super Retina XDR display. Apple has continued to improve the display of the iPhone every year, and this year they continued that. The display resolution went up slightly with both the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. Now they have 460 ppi, but the biggest change is in peak brightness. The iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max will now have 1600 nits of peak HDR brightness. So HDR movies or content is going to have more contrast and just look better. But if you're not a big fan of HDR, you're also getting up to 2000 nits of peak outdoor brightness, which is 2 times more than the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max. So this phone is just gonna shine outdoors. You're gonna be able to view content in direct sunlight without any issues. All of this translates to a brighter display, and if you're the type that needs their phone outdoors, the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max are gonna be the best option you can find. Number 2, the A16 Bionic Chip. It's safe to say Apple makes the best performing chipset in any smartphone. And every year we're continuing to get an improvement on that. Apple claims that the A16 Bionic is 40% faster than the competition. What that actually means, I have no idea. But according to Apple, the competition is still trying to catch up to the A13 Bionic from 2019, which honestly I believe. The main difference you're going to see this year with the A16 Bionic when compared to the A15 Bionic is better battery efficiency. And the A15 Bionic was still pretty good with battery efficiency, and we're just going to see an improvement on that, which is nice because we could always use better battery life. Even though the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max have new features like the always on display, which obviously uses more battery life, thanks to the A16 Bionic and its better battery efficiency, the 14 Pro and Pro Max will get slightly better battery life. Not to mention, the A16 Bionic will continue to provide better performance for gaming and better results for the camera system as well. It's an all-around better chipset this year, not leaps and bounds better, but if you want the best chipset in any smartphone, including the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max is where to go. And number 1, the new camera system. This year might be one of the biggest leaps in camera hardware for the iPhone ever. The iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max are both getting a 48 megapixel main camera with a quad pixel sensor, which is 65% larger than the one on the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max. The new sensor will improve light capture for better shots and up to 2 times improvement in low light photos. This new sensor adds so much more flexibility to taking photos on your iPhone. It gives you a new 2x telephoto option instead of having the 3 fixed lenses that the previous iPhone 13 Pro had. You can now shoot Pro RAW at 48 megapixel resolution, which will capture more detail and just give you sharper images. You're also getting a new 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor, which is also better at capturing light, and even a new LED flash system so you can get better photos with the flash. In fact, all of the camera sensors on the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max will be better at capturing more light. So you're going to get better shots overall. When it comes to video, these new iPhones will be getting a new mode called Action Mode, which stabilizes the shot to give you smoother video. And now cinematic mode can be shot in 4K 24 FPS, which is something I thought should have been available on the iPhone 13 Pro, but now you are getting it on the new iPhone 14 Pro models. Just like the previous iPhone, this is going to be a really amazing camera experience. But we're seeing an improvement in hardware this year that should take it to the next level. So if cameras are important to you, the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max are going to be a great option. And those are the top 5 reasons why you should buy the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. Obviously, this is going to be the best performing iPhone yet. And there's some features to actually get excited about. We're still going to have to see how these features actually perform when we get our hands on the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. But honestly, this looks to be another impressive iPhone. But it's still not for everyone. And if you want to see a top 5 reasons why you shouldn't buy the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, hit that notification bell because that video is coming soon. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.